I'll teach you exactly how you manipulate this table. Immediately you hear your teacher's endpoint, your table is sure. Then how to fill your report form for teachers. You will be given an instruction paper, teacher's instruction, what to provide. And on the exam day, you will be given also the report. Welcome to Sir Majesty Easy World Science Channel. Today, I will guide you in what you need in this forthcoming WAEC practical in chemistry for both teachers and students. If you are a student, endeavor to listen very well to this guide. If you are a chemistry teacher also, you should also endeavor to listen well to this guide, because passing practical chemistry have to depend on the cooperation of the student and the teacher. If there is a big discrepancy between these two people, the students will be on the receiving side. The student will likely fail. And the only way to assess a good and a quality teacher is from the results of the students. Okay? So in practical chemistry, there are 3 sections. You will see 3 questions, and you are going to answer all the 3 questions. This is unlike the normal thing you do in physics where you can choose. In chemistry, you are not choosing. You are going to answer everything given to you. Question number 1 is on titration. I've divided the board. This is titration, and this is where you meet with this table. Then question number 2 is on your qualitative analysis. This titration is under quantitative analysis, specifically volumetric analysis. So in the salt analysis, some people call it salt analysis. That is qualitative analysis. But it doesn't mean we must analyze only salt. This is analysis where you have this type of table: the test, observation, and inference. And then question number 3, which is random practical questions in chemistry. Nobody knows exactly what number 3 will be, except for those that enter the laboratory that do the practicals, and those that actually follow me up here because I do these practicals, and those that listen to their teacher. First of all, students should endeavor to get the basic information from your school chemistry teacher. No matter how good who you are following online is, if you don't cooperate with your school chemistry teacher as far as number 1 is concerned, you will likely fail number 1. But number 2 is independent of your teacher somehow. Number 3 is 100% independent of your teacher. It relies on you. If you're good, you will get this. But when you don't listen to your chemistry teacher well, you will not get this titration, because the marking scheme standard is that there is a range you will not exceed, so that you get the maximum score. First of all, in titration, we will face with a question similar to what you see there on the screen. Let me read it from here. Okay, you will face with similar questions such as all your burette readings, initial and final. This is what we call the burette. Initial and final, as well as the size of your pipette. I didn't bring pipette here, but you should know that some of my video I've done this basic titration, the practicals. But here I want to teach you the calculations on how to fill your table and the best strategy to use to maximize your score. Okay, maybe I will not waste time reading this question. They will give you A, give you B. So now I want to correct an impression. The formula we usually use, CAVA all over CBVB, is equals NA over NB. Then teachers generalize that A is for acid, and acid must be in burette, while B is for base, and the base must be in pipette. No, this is oversimplification or hasty generalization. WAEC labels their specimen in alphabetical order. In practical, we have alternative A, alternative B, and alternative C. So it depends on the number of salts they brought. For alternative A, their acid is labeled A, their base is labeled B, their salt is labeled C. If they have 2 salts, it will be C and D. such that alternative B now, their acid will be labeled, after D it is E, their acid will be labeled E, and their base will be labeled F for alternative B candidate. So that letter A doesn't necessarily mean acid. It is just a way of identifying specimen. In biology, we can have specimen J, and the J must not, the specimen J, the name must not start with J. It's just a way of identifying specimen, because they are telling you here to put A in a burette. So what am I trying to say? In your practical, especially chemistry teachers, don't assume that A must be in burette. You can check 219 and equal, I think, last 2 years or 2022, when iodine and the sodium thiosulfate was titrated. Definitely, you titrate the thiosulfate against the iodine, but the iodine was labeled A and the thiosulfate was labeled B. This created confusion among the inexperienced teacher. So that's why you need this video. Remember that the labeling is for identification. On that day, you might be told to put B here, and then pipette your A and put it here. What is in the burette is called the titrant or the titrator. Then what is in the conical flask which you pipette is called the analyte or the titrant. Okay? So to get just the end point. Now, after the procedure, you have to do your report. Remember, Africa should review the way they conduct practicals, because we really need people to do this practical more than they write the report. Africa need more of the real practical than their reports. So I suggest that some of you that have access to WAEC and the exam body, they should suggest for them that practical should be marked in that hall where it is taking place, at least 70% or 60%, then 40 will be for report. Check how the child is conducting this, because this will help us break through what is holding us. Somebody can tell you a long story on how to cook, but the person don't know how to cook. So, because this is Africa, I will teach you how you can manipulate your table when your teacher has given you endpoint. And for teachers, make sure you watch till the end, or watch another video where I will teach you about the filling of the teacher's practical report. After everything, because what I'm saying is that the examiner is not there watching your procedure. They will mark your paper. That is where we give you score. And this is why I have this table here. For titration, you make your table. Make sure your table is neat. Avoid cancelling your table. Then, when they give you a script, there is no substitute, like the script that will bear your name already at the back, as you can see there on the screen. That you cannot request. If you make mistakes on the table, you are doomed. If they have made that table for you, so what will you do? I advise you use pencil to fill this table for the first time. When you are now sure and certain of your values, you can now use pen. You can clean off and use pen. But when you are not sure, fill with pencil, because they will not replace this for you. Okay? That is for the question paper that have both the questions and space for your answer. Okay? So for the table, first of all, there is 2 basic information that must be on top of your table, but one is of utmost importance, which is volume of pipette used. Volume of pipette used must be indicated because we have 2 standard volumes. Why must you indicate the volume you are using? Because that is what they will use to mark you. Your teacher will report the volume the school is using. And take note, you are not allowed to use different volume of pipette from your fellow students from the same school. No. You guys, one school in 1 year will use one particular volume of pipette. We have 20, we have 25. But in Nigeria, if you use 20, my dear, you might fail, because it has become like a culture that 25 is what we commonly use. So you indicate 25.0 cm cube, because this will determine what will give you mark after you have taken your average. So when you write the volume of pipette used, some will tell you the indicator used, but that doesn't earn you any mark. It is in the past. Why? Because the question like this one, I say, they will tell you the indicator you will use. Like this says, put A into the burette and titrate against 20 or 25 cm cube of B. So they are telling you use 20 or 25. So you tell the examiner, I'm using 25, using methyl orange. So they have indicated it. They have specified indicator to use. They didn't give you option. If they have said using methyl orange or phenolphthalein, you now say indicator used. But since they told you one to use, so why wasting time writing indicator use? So save yourself that time, that stress. Don't forget to write 25.0 cm. Don't write 25. In a situation where they have given you the table to fill, they will say used. They say on top of the table, the volume of pipette used. You fill it in 25.0 or 25.00 cm cube. And again, you come here, look up, there is what we call concordant titles. When you look at this table, we have the burette readings, the rough, first, second, and third, then final and initial. Then the volume of A used if you were told to put A in burette. If you were told to put B in burette, this should be volume of B used. So, looking at this, we will assume the question you see on the screen is what we are using to give you these instructions. Now, you can put your CM cube here, or you can put it here, or here, any of these places. If you choose to put it here, no need of wasting time putting it under burette readings again. If you put it under title, don't put it under burette reading. If you put it under burette reading, you don't need to put it under titles again. Okay? So, I believe we know what rough means. As this setup is standing now, the first titration I will carry out is what we call rough titration, because I have not actually adapted the apparatus to the reagent. Even though I might have washed it with water, the water might contaminate in the sense that it might dilute the analytes and the titrants more than normal. So your first titration is the rough, and what are the functions of rough? It adapts the apparatus and also predicts the range of endpoints. So 23.40 was the rough. How do you record? Final, initial. Final is written first, initial second, but while recording, you record your initial before final. Before you start any titration, you look at the reading in the burette. At the level it is not a must you struggle to fill it. If you fill to the last, it is called 0.00. That means this is assumed that I fill this to this level. This is a 0 mark. The 0 mark should be the 0.00. But if I filled it until maybe 0.5, don't struggle. What is not allowed is to overfill it. Don't fill it above 0, because you won't be able to take your accurate reading. So, but when it's below 0, just note it. Assuming I filled it and they now drop down with the lower meniscus, I'll just write here 0.5. Then I will minus, after I've written, if 0.50 is my initial, when I get 23.40, I will minus this 0.5 from it to get 23. We'll now get close to 22.90, of course, just in case. But here, I filled all to 0. It is assumed that I filled all to 0. Now, the way to manipulate your table, if your teacher gives you endpoint, your teacher is supposed not to divulge it for you. Of course, I don't give it to my students because I train them very, very well that they become perfect in the process. And I try my possible best to give them the standard solution, what is required. Your teacher, your school might not be disposed to give you that. So, and besides, Africa should readjust to see if these children are really doing it, because most of the practicals we do here in Nigeria can be manipulated, and you see that it is not bringing the required effect. You should endeavor to control manipulation, but unfortunately, they make it easier for themselves. There should be camera on while you are doing your practicals. If not, they cannot mark it there. They will mark your process, how you are able to put your indicator and so on and so forth. That's just by the way. How do we manipulate our table when we have gotten the endpoint from our teacher? So watch me now. Maybe, that's why I say you have to communicate to your chemistry teacher. If your chemistry teacher says that the endpoint, it is your chemistry teacher's figures that will be used to judge you. Very simple. If the teacher's endpoint for the teacher is assumed to be 23.90, You can use any figure around 23.90 that is not plus or minus 0.2 away. That is more than plus or minus 0.2 away from 29.0. Let me explain. You can use any figure that is not more than 0.2 less than this and not more than 0.2 more than this number. So which means what are the ranges that are accepted under these figures? If my teacher decided to use 23.90 cm cube, remember that you have to fill into decimal places. You must end it with 0. Don't just write 2.4. You understand? And never you write 23.45 under Burette reading, because the accuracy of this Burette reading, the least number it can read is 0.1. It cannot read 0.01. See what I mean? If you are not allowed to write in 2.85, it's not possible. This is not calibrated to get such reading. You get that now? Okay? So what I mean is, this is what my teacher said he will fill in the practical report. What will I do? Take this number. You can choose any number that is not, you must not rhyme with your teacher exactly. But if you like, you use what your teacher used. The rule is, don't be more than 0.2 less or more. That is, don't vary with more than 0.2 from what your teacher feed to gain the complete 3 or 4 marks that is attached to average volume of A used. So what are the possible range I will use? I can use 23.80. I can use 23.70. I cannot use 23.60 because the difference between 23.60 and 23.9 is 0.3. It will lessen your mark. I can also use 24.0 exactly, yes. I can use 24.00. Reason is because this is not 0.2 more. If you add 0.1 here, it is still correct. That is it. If you add 0.2 here, it will become 24.10. So any of this is accepted for you to decide as your own endpoint, not the figures you fill on this table. No. This is the number possible you can bear in mind alongside your teacher's endpoint. If you like, you can bear in mind your teacher's endpoint. I'll teach you exactly how you manipulate this table. Immediately you hear your teacher's endpoint, your table is short. Your table is short. But I don't do it because I'm training the real scientists. You know what I mean? But they will do the practical, do it accurately. So that's why I don't have fear. But I'm telling you that immediately your teacher tells you endpoint, you already know the table you will fill in the exam, even without the question paper. Imagine. So this is why you're going to listen and listen attentively well and cooperate with your school chemistry teacher. See now, if you decide to use 23.90 as your own endpoint after everything, how are you going to fill this table? If you want to fill this table, watch me. This number is what is in your mind. In your rough, add 1 cm cube to it. In your rough, add 1 cm. If you add 1 cm to 23.9, what is it, class? It is 24.9. That is your rough. Make sure everything here is 0.00. So that means I'll fill here 24.9. Then for your first, I say the number you want to make your endpoint, add 1 cm to it for your rough. And if 23.9 is what I want to use, I'll add 1 cm, it becomes 24.90. If I want to use 23.8, I'll add 1 cm, it will become 24.80. Now, what should be my first theta values? I will now do what? I will minus 0.1 from the number in my mind. 0.1 is not 1, no. I say add 1 for your rough because you will not be using your rough, provided you make your initial 0.000. So I'll write here 24.90. Then I'll come here and add and minus 0.1 in the number I have in my heart. And this is the number I have in my heart. 23.90 minus 0.1. So here will be automatically 23. 3.80. See the possible values I will manipulate. My rough, I want to manipulate with reference to this. My rough will be 24.90. My first will be 23.80. How did I get it? I minus 0.1 from this number. And then my second titration, this is my first titration. Then my second titration, what will happen? I will add 0.1 to the number in my mind. What is the number in my mind? 23.90. I said minus 0.1 and add 0.1. First title minus 0.1. Second title add 0.1. If you add 0.1 to 23.9, what do you have? 24.00. You get that? Now your third title, write exactly the number in your heart, which is 23.90. Now, concordant values are values that do not vary with more than 0.2. So you started as if you are doing practical, but you already know what your endpoint will be. So what will be my endpoint here? I will not add rough. This is rough. Remember, this is rough, second and third, as you can see here. So if I want to see concordant values, 1, 2, 3, first, second, and third are all concordant. That means I can use any of them because the differences are not more than 0.2. Look at the table. Can you find concordant values? Rough is out. Look at the first title, 22.80, 22.40. This first and second title are not concordant. They are not concordant because they varied with more than 0.2. The difference between them is 0.4. If you use it, you will lose mark. But my first title and my third title, 22.80 and 23.00, they are concordant. The difference between them is 0.2, and we'll say should not vary with more than. Not that is allowed to vary with 0.2, but not more than 0.2. So I will use, if I want to know the average reading here, that's VA, average reading. I will take my first and my third. I will leave the second because it's not concordant. I hope you get what I'm saying, viewer. If you have not subscribed, actually subscribe to this channel. So, in the sense, all these three are very much concordant. But I established this table to teach you what we mean by concordant values and non-concordant. Second and third are not concordant. Reason is because this is actually 22.4 and this is 23. The difference between them is 0.6. If I'm correct, if you add 0.6 to this, you get this, and we say it should not be more than 0.2. So the only concordant value here is first and third. So if I want to take my average with reference to this table, I will say average volume of A, or rather VA, if the letter was A. If the letter was E, you say VE. VA is equal to, you tell the marker, first plus third. If you use two readings, you divide by 2. But because of the fact that the only 2 readings are concordant, what if you do real practical and none is concordant? You will be forced to adjust little. Yes, I'm sure I do tell my student that one. What I mean is that let's assume we came here and we got 23.10. What I told them is to adjust this 23.10 to 23, or you adjust this 22.80 to 22.90, of course, so that you don't stress yourself. You get the whole mark. So if you look at this now, the average should now be 22.80 plus 23.00 divided by 2. Now, let me shock you. Do you know if you take the average of 23.80, 24.00, and 23.90, they are all concordant because they did not vary with more than. These are the values. Remember, this is rough. You will not use your rough. Don't use rough to determine. You must not cancel it like I did here. You leave it, not even you can leave it before you go and cancel your table. Leave it as far as you have written rough, and don't forget to write the units. So if you calculate 23.80 plus 24.00 plus 23.90 and divide by 3, it will give you that exact number you have in heart before filling your table. Do I get you here? Please subscribe and share this video. So these are the basic things you need to know about your titration in this forthcoming examination. Spread the light. Don't conceal the light, meaning if what I'm saying now is really helpful to you, you share with others. And please, I'm available for private coaching for both teachers and students. I produce and I sell laboratory chemicals, reagents, and laboratory apparatus. I coach you both in practicals and in theory, as well as chemistry and biology related courses are concerned. So endeavor to contact Her Majesty with the number you see there on the screen, +234 7065 166 of course. So even for your production processes, to guide you in the production, and most importantly in quality control, that is where we apply this real analysis. Okay, now you don't approximate the concentration they give you in chemistry. If they tell you that A is 0.05, don't make it 0.1. Don't approximate concentrations. Use the concentrations as they are given to you. If they say 0.49, don't make it 0.5. Don't approximate concentrations. Maybe like here, 0.04, okay, it's not up to approximation. Let's assume after you finish solving, you get 0.05. Don't make it 0.1, please. From my experience, the only time you're allowed to approximate is if it's up to 8 or 9. It is no mass here. Because if you ever approximate 0.15 to 0.2, my dear, the molar mass you're supposed to get as 40 might multiply by 80 or become divided to get 20. So you can only approximate 0.1819 to become 0.2, and you still fall within the range. I know this is going against your normal mathematics. Now, coming to salt analysis, that number 2 is very simple. Remember, you are not going to tell stories in salt analysis. Your job, you are going to be as brief as possible. They will give you a table like you can see there on the screen. The table will require you just to see test, observation, and inference, as you can see here. This one said, place the sample C on a dry spatula and heat on a flame. You just report the same way they reported the test for you. If they did not report for you, follow their English, follow the grammar exactly. Add C to 10 cm cube of water, stir, filter. You just say C plus 5 cm cube, if 5 was mentioned, of water. Remember not to waste your time measuring this volume. Nobody is there. They tell you about. Plus stir, plus filter. This is all you need. You don't need to tell stories. But this one you are seeing on the screen is very easy. They have already, each step they mention, they fill the test for you. It's not left for you to fill observation and inference. So under observation, you write exactly what happened. C dissolves to form a colorless filtrate and black residue. Do you understand that now? So you replot the color of the filtrate, the one that passes, and the color of the residue. Your inference is just to say that C is a mixture of soluble and insoluble salt. What if the whole C dissolves without any residue? Say C is a soluble salt. And you need to know, test for cations, test for anions, test for gases, then test for organic compounds, so test for functional group, a functional group chemistry, whereby you need to know about test for OH, test for alkanons, alkanals, that is silver mirror test. You need your Benedict solution. So these are the stages. What did I say? You learn under salt analysis, test for anions, cations, test for gases, and test for organic compounds, flame test. So these things are covered here on this channel. This is the approach you use. Then inference is you are writing confirmed, likely, or present. So likely or present is used when you mention more than one ion that is not certain. For instance, when they tell you to add sodium hydroxide in drops, then followed by excess, and the observation is white precipitate in drops or white gelatinous precipitate in drops, which dissolves in excess. Always remember that in drops, we are looking for the color and nature of the precipitate. The nature is it sticky? That's gelatinous. Is it flowing free like a powder in water? That is powdery. If it is that way, you say powdery or chalky. But if it is sticky like your pap, you call it gelatinous, like the gel you apply in your hair. So gelatinous, then in excess, you are checking if the precipitate formed, that insoluble particle, you have seen the color and the nature, whether it dissolved or not, okay? So endeavor to watch the videos here on test for all the cations and possibly the anions, of course, with the basic reagent. And then you should know the action of litmus paper on some solutions. So under here, you are writing likely or present, like sodium hydroxide plus, like I said earlier, sodium hydroxide in drops, unknown solution or first portion of filtrate plus sodium hydroxide in drops and in excess. You now see observation, white gelatinous precipitate formed in drops which dissolved in excess to form a clear solution. Dissolved in excess sodium hydroxide, that is the meaning of the excess of the reagent mentioned on that test. That is what you mean here. Then what we use is now write zinc 2 ion or aluminium ion present, because there are two things. It is when we are specific. If you say zinc, confirmed. If it is only one ion that behaves or only one gas that behaves like that, before you use the word confirmed. So the number 3 is a random chemistry question. I hope I have tried to guide you. Then for teachers, I know this will also help you, which means you try to coach your students very well to be experts in titration and prepare your standard solutions well. If you are not so good, contact me. It won't cost you much, rather than let's just hand together. Let's just join hands together and raise the greater Africans. We need more practicals than this certificate. These children need to know that these things, like me, I apply them in analysis. When they tell you the iodometric titration, I use them to analyze the percentage of chlorine in a sample of bleach. Even the bleach product I do sell, I will use it to know the actual quality. So these things are very much necessary. It's not just for you to pour and pour until color changes. So if you really want to know, you can contact me. Then how to fill your report form for teachers. You will be given an instruction paper, teacher's instruction, what to provide. And on the exam day, you will be given also the report form. Endeavor to fill that report, sign and make sure that the supervisor or the invigilator, I don't know how we call it, the external who will be taking the student's script, signed, and you also sign, and is inserted inside the bag before locking it. If you don't put your report, you have failed your students, because there won't be any guide. What will we use to mark these children? Now, in filling the report, don't change what was written in the instruction paper. Copy it verbatim, totum et totalite, every and entire. If they say that C is the one spatula of sodium, when they ask you what is C, because in that report, as you can see there on the screen, let me lift it here. In that report form, you will see where they will tell you, what did you provide for the students? What did you provide for your students? First of all, the cover page will bear the school name, where you have the center number first, then date of exam, then name of school in block letters. You use capital letters. Name of teacher providing the materials, that is you providing the material. Then if this is the cover page, you now go inside it first. You now see where they will ask you, a completed form must be enclosed in each envelope of script. Each envelope, which means if there are 2 envelopes where you packed in your student script, you must put each of these reports. This is for school that writes alternative A and B. If your number is high, you need to put them separately. Then they say, show what was provided as material. State what was provided as material. You now go exactly to that report, the instruction paper, and copy what was there. Just tell them exactly what they stated. A contains 8.5 cm cube concentrated HCl per dm cube of solution. If the instruction said 8.5, don't change it, don't correct it for them. B contains 5.0 grams of sodium triazole carbonate 4 decahydrate per dm cube of a solution. Okay, so that is it for the teachers. Then they say state the volume of A required to neutralize. This is very important. To neutralize, you will now try to justify what your students writes. If you don't cancel, they tell you delete appropriately. If you don't cancel that 20 or 25, you leave 20 and 25, what would they judge your students with? So you must cancel. If your school is using, if you use 20 to do your own 20 sample of the pipette, you cancel 25. If you use 25, just cancel 20. That's what they mean there. Then they said state the volume of A required to neutralize 25. I cancelled 20 in this case. CM cube of B with methyl orange, the indicator they mentioned. Then you say I write exactly the first title you got. Make sure you follow what I taught the student also. Don't be the reason why your student is failing. Make sure you have concordant values. What you are telling your students shouldn't be the first, second, third. If at all you will communicate them. I don't communicate them. That makes me feel like now I'm doing the job. They do it consistently and they perfect it, of course. So, but if at all you must tell your students, what you will tell them is the average. That place they say average. You sum the first, second, and third and divide by 3. That is your average. Remember, it's not a must. You do up to 3. You can do 2 and take the average and tell them. So then other part of it will be, they will ask you details of any difficulty. This place, you don't need to, like, if there is difficulty due to faulty apparatus, accidental damage to apparatus, this one will help them in the next exam or subsequent exam, or while judging the student during the audition as they gather to make the marking or mark scheme to actually deliberate on it. So if you feel that the reagent they provided was harmful, was expensive, you can equally put it there. If all things being equal, they respond to this, it will help them become perfect. So thank you so much for watching. I cannot do without you. You are going nowhere without subscribing. Please subscribe and share this video. I cannot do without you. You know what? Much love from me to you. Remain majestic. Bye for now.
Wait a minute. Have you heard about the Majestic Table? It was designed and recommended by Her Majesty himself. Here it is. The amazing thing about the Majestic Periodic Table is that it provides a clear and colorful classification of elements, from P block metals to metalloids to liquid metals. It also shows the boiling and melting points of all the elements. It also has the unique feeling of electrons in the shells of each element. Hi, I wanted to tell you that you can contact Her Majesty in the world for your laboratory equipment and reagents. They are affordable and provide accurate results too. Her Majesty's word only sells what he knows, and his patterns of delivery are sure and certain. Place your orders today. Thanks for your patronage.